Hello everyone, this is Suresh from Azure ADB. Today our topic is how to use random.rand integer function using UDF function. So I already made one video on how to use random.rand integer. For continuation of that video, I'm creating this video. On top of that, how to use this function by using UDF. So for that, first I'm importing required functions. So one is import random and UDF I'm calling and integer type. Okay, so first I'm creating my one sample data frame. This has two columns, ID and age. So in this, I have total 10 rows in this sample data frame. So what I'm doing next is I'm trying to add a random integer column. So first I'm trying to create UDF function. I'm mentioning calling UDF here, and inside that I'm using lambda random.randint between 1 to 100, and this data type is integer type. So what it does is it will generate random integer values between 1 to 100. So next what I'm doing, I'm trying to create one new column rand underscore integer by using this UDF function. So if I try to display this one, this is my new column random underscore integer, and these are all my random integer values, and these are all between 1 to 100 range. 1 to 100 range. So simply I'm creating here UDF function and I'm calling here while creating with column function and it adding the values. So next what I'm doing, I'm trying to create random integers within a specific range. So code is same. Here I'm trying to create between 1 to 100. So here my requirement is I want to generate between 50 to 100. So I'm just updating this one 50 to 100. So then you will find values between here 50 to 100. And this very first time it gave these values, these random values. If I try to run one more time, these values will get changed. So each and every execution, these values will get changed. So next what I'm doing, I'm trying to replace existing column values with random integers. So how I'm doing, suppose I want to replace on this age column. So initially my basic data frame is this one. If I try to take a screenshot, this is my sample data frame and I am applying on age column. Yeah, here. So here what I'm doing on this age column, I want to replace all these values with random integer values. So for this, what I'm doing, I'm using with column function and I'm mentioning age because I want to replace existing column and I'm calling my UDF function here. So whatever I created here, this UDF function I'm calling here. So what it does is it will generate random values between 50 to 100. So that means this age column, it will replace existing records with newly created random values between 50 to 100. Okay. So next, what we'll do, I want to create random integers based on existing column value. So for that, I'm creating a new UDF here. So UDF and my X value is random.rand integer x comma x plus 10, and this is integer type. So what it does is this function, it will take random values between these two values x and x plus 10. So this x we are passing here. So here what we want in existing column, uh, we are trying to generate a new column with random integers based on ID column. So new column, I'm using this is the column name, and I'm using with column function. And here for generating these random values, I am using one of the existing column, that is ID. So in this UDF function, I am mentioning df of ID. So that means this x value should take values of df of ID. That means this ID column. So now what it does is, so what is the first value here? So this lambda x, this means it will iterate each and every record of ID column. So first what it does is it takes x value as 1. So my initial value is 1. Next 1 plus 10. So that means my range is 1 to 11. So first value, whatever it generates here, no, this is between 1 to 11. See, this value is between 1 to 11. This is a random value. Next, it will go for 2. Now my x is 2. So x is 2 and x plus 10. That means 2 plus 10. That means 12. So my range is now between 2 to 12. So now my random value will generate between 2 to 12. That is 11. So similar way, my third value is 3. That means x is 3. 3 plus 10, 13. So my random value will generate between 3 to 13. See, 3 to 13. So similar way, it will generate like this, 4. Next 4 means it will generate between 4 and 14. 4 plus 14. 4 plus 10, 14. See, this is my random value. Similar way, 5. 5, x is 5. 5 plus 10, 15. So it will generate between 5 and 15. So similar way, it will go for all these values. If you see all these values generated within this range, that means based on ID column, this value it will generate. And if you try to run one more time, these values will get changed. Okay, these values will get changed, but still based on this range. My initial input is this one and my condition is this one. Okay, so next, random integers for group data. So what I'm doing, I have df data frame, that is this one, and I'm doing group by. So df dot group by. So in group by, I'm not mentioning any column. So that means this group by, it consider on whole data frame. Whole data frame in this ID and age. So this whole thing as one group. And I'm using dot aggregate function. And inside that I'm using lit, and this is my random function. So random dot rand integer 1 to 100. So that means first it will generate random values between 1 to 100. And on top of that, I'm using lit function. So why I'm using lit function here is to generate literal values. If you don't use this lit function, it will generate columns, means column objects. It will generate column objects, but we want to convert it to data frame elements. So for that, I'm using lit function here. And since this whole thing is considered as single data frame, so we'll generate here single value. See, every time we are generating single value between a range of 1 to 100. Next, we want to generate random integers for conditional column values. So here I'm creating new UDF here. So UDF and lambda, and my X value is random.rand integer 1 to 50. So that means my for one of the X value, so it has to generate random integers between 1 to 100. But when condition is if X, that means this X value, whatever we have X value, module 2 is equal to 0. That means if our X value is even number, then it should generate a random integer between 1 to 50. Otherwise, this random integer should be between 51 to 100. So that is my UDF here. And here what I'm doing, I'm trying to create new column here. Column name is conditional underscore random by using with column function. And I'm calling this function here. But my X value is this one, df of ID. That means this ID column values. So what it does is first it will take first record 1. My X is now 1. And what is the condition? If 1% module 2 is equal to 0. Since it is even number, odd number, this condition it won't satisfy. So then what it does is it will print this value. That means between 51 to 100. See, my first value is 100. Next, my second record is 2. So if 2% module 2, okay, so this is satisfies. Since 2 is even, this condition will satisfy. So what it does is it will generate a random integer value between 1 to 50. Say it generated 34. Similar way, if you go for third record, that is 3. 3 is odd number, so it will satisfy this condition. So it will generate value between 51 to 100, say 72. So similar way 4. So by looking values, we can get like, see 4 is even. So even means it will generate between 1 to 50. See 47. Next one is odd number. Odd means between 51 to 100. Okay. So similar way, it will generate values for this based on even number, odd number. So that is this one. Okay, so it is like we are creating new column, but based on existing column values. And next, what we'll do for explaining one more example, I'm creating one more data frame. This is sample data frame 2, and my first one is, this is my sample data frame 1. So here I'm maintaining this many columns, and I have data for this. And I'm trying to create a data frame, and this is my sample data frame. So here what I'm trying to do is, here I want to replace existing columns with random integers. So earlier we saw how to replace for single column. Here I want to replace random integers for multiple columns. So one column is salary and one more column is cost underscore value. So salary and cost underscore value. So these two column values, existing data frame values, I want to replace with random integer numbers. So for that, so what I did, first I created one UDF for salary column, and I considered values between 4,000 to 10,000. So what I did at UDF, data type is integer type. So inside that I created function. My function name is this one, random underscore salary. So this, since this is for salary column, I mentioned salary. And what I have to return is random.rand integer, and this integer value should be between 4,000 to 10,000. So similar way, UDF I created for cust underscore value column, and now these values are between 1 to 20. Okay, so here I mentioned 1 to 20. So I created two UDFs now. So what I will do now is I will replace random integers for single column. Suppose if you want to update for single column, what we'll do, the F1, that is this data frame. On top of this data frame, I am using with column function to create new column here. Okay, since already column is there, I want to replace existing column records. But what I created this UDF, if you see at the top, see here, we created this UDF here. This UDF I am using here. That means it will generate values between 50 to 100. So for single column, I am using that UDF. So what it does is existing customer column values, it will replace with these randomly generated values between 50 to 100. Okay, so this is about to replace single column. Next, we'll go for multiple columns. So for multiple columns, we already created two UDFs separately. So on top of DF1, so I'm using with column function on salary column. So existing salary column values, I want to replace with random values. So for salary, I created already UDF, that is random underscore salary, that is this one. And this is values between 4,000 to 10,000. And if you see these values, see these are all between 4,000 to 10,000. And if you cross verify with your original data frame, see these are all different values, 5,000, 6,000, it is like this. Now, these values are replaced with this one, between 4,000 to 10,000. Similar way, I want to replace this cust underscore value with I already created UDF random underscore cust underscore value. That is this one. So this is between 1 to 20. And if you see here, these all values replaced between 1 to 20. And if you see your original data frame, see it is unique numbers 1 to 10. This 1 to 10 values is replaced with random integers between 1 to 20 by using this UDF. Okay, so this how you can use the UDF function on top of random.rand integer function. So that's all about this video. So if you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.